You wouldn't be wrong in thinking that the gaming chair I'm sitting in looks very, very, very similar to another one I've reviewed, except this is the Andaseat T-Pro 2. Welcome back to another episode of Stu's Reviews. As with every single one of my chair episodes, they are completely unsponsored and unaffiliated. I won't even use an affiliate code in the description to prove there's no monetary gain from my opinion that I'm about to share with you. This means that the only way this episode is going to make me money is through YouTube ad revenue, so in return for my honest review, make sure you hit that thumbs up so I can afford to feed myself and my dog this month. Just look how sad he is at the prospect of no din-dins. Also, as a disclaimer, everything I'm about to share with you is my opinion on the comfort, and the comfort is massively subjective. You'll find that different people like different things, so all of this is coming from my own angle and what I personally prefer in a gaming/office chair. So, to the Andaseat. I'm first going to take you through the unboxing and assembly experience, and then I'll share my opinion on the comfort and overall design, followed by taking a look at the company's warranty and after-sales service before sharing my final opinion with you guys. Let's get to the unboxing. In the box we have the manual, the seat base, the memory foam headrest, a tool and accessory pack, the backrest, the seat base, the arms which are unusually not already attached to the base, and lastly the tilt and recline mechanism. The assembly process is somewhat similar to most chairs, although unlike other models the arms aren't already attached to the seat base and there are no clear indicators to which way they go on. Remember this fact because I'll come back to that later. There's also no alignment system for the backrest, which makes it a little fiddly to put together, and I wasn't too impressed with how the screws for this just went straight through the bare fabric. But other than these small little gripes, the overall assembly process is pretty clear, straightforward and easy to understand from the included instructions. So let's take a closer look at the chair I've just put together. This is the Andaseat T-Pro 2, and you wouldn't be wrong in thinking it looks familiar to another chair I've reviewed, but we shall come back to this soon. This particular model is made from what they call their AD Alpha linen, used on all of Andaseat's more expensive options. It's both scratch and stain resistant, and it feels lovely and soft to the touch. It has a removable memory foam lumbar support and accented with a softer material along the exterior edges of the chair that has a similar feel to a soft velvet, and also features a memory foam pillow in that same material for a soft head supporting experience. There's an absolute bucket load of adjustment in the arms which can be moved in 4 directions for maximum inclusion for all shapes and sizes. And the 65mm turbine style wheels are covered in PU for a supposedly quieter roll. Overall, I think the T-Pro 2 looks pretty nice and the specs on paper seem to be pretty good, so let's dive into it a little bit further and tell you some of my thoughts on this chair after daily use. Now let's get the elephant out of the room immediately. This looks so similar to the Secretlab Titan 2020 model. Not necessarily in its form factor because the curves and shape are slightly different. The T-Pro 2 is more of a bucket style than the Titan, but if you ignore that, the features are nearly identical and the colouring is pretty much as close as you can get to the Titan without actually being the soft weave cookies and cream Titan. In its own right, however, the feature set is okay. The arms are adjustable in 4 ways: up, down, angle left or right, forwards and backwards, and side to side. Perhaps not the most smooth adjustment in the world, but it does have a good range of adjustability all the same. But on the subject of the arms, I mentioned earlier about the orientation not being written on the arms during assembly. This stupidly has led me to put them on backwards. Possibly. So the way I've put them on has meant that the buttons to adjust the forwards backwards motion are at the rear. On the Titan, for comparability, these are at the front. The instructions of the assembly don't have any clear indication of which way they're supposed to go, so I guess it could either be an oversight or it could be Andaseat being more flexible in the approach to allowing you to choose whether you want the buttons at the front or the back, and not that I've installed them wrong. The tilt mechanism is good. It's also quite strong, perhaps the strongest tilt mechanism I've had in a chair to date. And adjusted at its maximum strength, it actually has enough tension to bounce me back into an upright position if I don't constantly apply pressure using my legs on the floor. This is quite impressive considering I'm 6'8" and weigh nearly 16 stone. And that's something that no chair seems to be able to do. Usually, at the maximum, they have enough tension to rock, but not enough force to return me back up to upright. I'm too fat normally for that. So a massive thumbs up. Now, the recline mechanism is also pretty good too, and goes all the way back, allowing you to lie flat, almost so much you end up being a little bit inverted. Obviously really necessary for gaming and typing. But this is where the fun stops, however, because some of the features that this chair has, I'm not really happy with. First of all, the lumbar support is okay. It's not an inbuilt lumbar support, nor is this adjustable. Now, they've opted for a memory foam removable cushion, which it does stay in place very nicely, but it feels about as useful as a chocolate teapot. And this is not because of how the cushion is designed. It's actually a nice support, and on any other chair it would be perfect. But the way the back of this chair is designed, it causes a massive issue with the lumbar support and makes it pointless. Because it's a bucket style shape, it puts a lot of pressure on me personally, right at the top around my shoulder blades. This has the consequence of hunching the top part of me forward, making my posture really strange and feels like my back is flat because the lumbar support is in line with my shoulders. The bucket style seat for me really isn't comfortable for long periods. It may be because I'm an absolute gigantosaurus and this style seat just doesn't suit. But then again, on the website, it does say the maximum height is 210 centimeters, and I am just under that. The bucket design with the lumbar support also means there's quite a lot of leg hanging off. I have to say, it's not the most comfortable sitting position in the world. And removing the lumbar support doesn't really solve anything either. It helps with the amount of leg I can get on the chair, fine, but it means that I'm even more hunched over in the bucket with no lumbar support whatsoever. I can move the lumbar support up and then sort of press it up against my back, but it feels a bit unnatural, and it means that my back doesn't end up being in contact with any part of the rear of the chair, it's just purely on that lumbar support. It doesn't really feel like it offers a huge amount of back support, and the little it does offer, there's no customization in it. And I don't think this makes for a great experience long term. Also, on the matter of support and longevity, the foam they've used is very, very soft. There's quite a lot of give in it, and at first opinion it will feel great, but it doesn't promote comfort for long periods of time. Now, I've always tried to advocate a firmer seat, which is supposed to help with posture and comfort for longer periods. As I say in all of my chair episodes, softness does not equal comfort. Softness equals lack of support, which equals a very bad back, making it very uncomfortable. But I recognise there's a fine line between being so firm it's unenjoyable to sit on, but also being so soft it will kill your back. And on the sliding scale, I would say that the T-Pro 2 is on the softer, unsupportive side of things. Now, I've reviewed a ton of chairs from all sorts of places, and I wanted to give some consistency to the ratings I give, and also help you understand how I rate the chairs. So I'm introducing a new chart to show where the chairs I'm reviewing are sitting for comfort. First, I mark on the scale if it's firm or soft, and then I mark if it's supportive or unsupportive. This eventually will be made available online with all the entries on it, but at the moment, for the time being, you're going to need to catch the ratings in individual reviews from now on. If I've rated a chair and it falls in the green, it means it's really plush, quite soft, but it's also extremely good for your posture and support. Orange, you'll get a chair that's usable but may suit a smaller niche of people, being either too firm yet supportive or very plush but not really supportive at all. If you see something in the red, that's not good. You'll get the atrocity of firm and unsupportive, which I suspect is really, really rare, and probably only dining table chairs would end up in this category. Now overall, the T-Pro 2 isn't a terribly uncomfortable chair, but it does feel quite unsupportive. So this is where I think the T-Pro 2 sits for its comfort, with a score of 5 out of 14 for supportiveness and 9 out of 14 for plushness, and sitting in the orange rating of soft and unsupportive. I realise it's going to be very hard to get into the green, I will say, as often supportive chairs tend to be firmer and softer chairs tend to be unsupportive. So it's a huge balancing act. In this case, I think it solidly sits in the orange, which means it's a little bit middling. I do have one further grievance, and that's the noise from the wheels. They seem to be really noisy on solid floors, and I think that might have something to do with the way the Starbase is designed. It has these large hollows that allow the sound from the wheels to reverberate and echo within them. So when you're running over bumps on the floor, it makes quite a racket, although on carpeted floor, you're not going to have this issue. That's a me issue, that is. But okay, setting my opinion on the quality or comfort of the chair to one side, how are Andaseat for support and what is their after-sales service like? This was a bit harder to answer, as I tried to find experiences of people who had used Andaseat before or had any issues with the chairs, and there's not much out there. I scoured Reddit and couldn't really find anything. I did find a few reviews on trusted.com with 36% bad rating and 64% excellent, with, really strangely, nothing in between. Most of the negative experiences that people mentioned are on shipping times, which understandably for the most companies that supply things that go in the home office, whether for gaming or other kinds of work, are massively in demand due to the change in people working from home more, so expect massive delays with shipping. But ignoring those pieces of feedback, there's not much out there criticising the warranty or after-sales service, which could be a really good thing. I'll link the trusted.com page down below for you, but I would love for you to share your own opinion in the comments below. Have you got one? What do you think of it? Has it ever broken? Have you ever used a warranty service? Or has it been the most perfect chair of your dreams? Whatever you think, if you've got an Andaseat, let us know in the comments, because it'll help those thinking of buying one. Talking about buying, the T-Pro sits at a price around £349, which is not a ridiculous price given some of the features. I would maybe have liked a better lumbar system for the price, but the simple thought here is that I don't know what the longevity will be like. With it being quite a plush chair, it typically means it will deteriorate quicker, so the longevity might not quite be up to scratch. Again, this is where those who have had an Andaseat can chime in below to let us know how long theirs have lasted. Now, my final thoughts are that it seems like Andaseat may have tried to imitate the appearance and potentially some of the features in the Secretlab Titan range, but missed the mark on a few details that I really love about those chairs. Is it a direct copy? No. I don't think so, but I mean there's definitely a share of inspiration, but what the key differences are give the T-Pro 2 a bit of unique character, even if that character is the hunchback Quasimodo. Relatively speaking, it's along the cheaper side of mid-range gaming chairs, and I think that shows. There's a lot of bits that I like, but also bits that I don't feel is quite as premium as what I would expect in this price bracket. It's not the worst chair, it's not the best chair, it's not particularly supportive, but it is pretty plush. Overall, I'd say a middling experience that potentially is a little bit pricey than what you would expect. But if you're after the cheapest mid-range gaming chair that you can find, then the T-Pro 2 is probably a really good competitor for that title. And that concludes today's review. If you have Twitch, don't forget to give me a follow on there. And if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up for the honest opinion and subscribe and notification bell if you want to see more. And I'll see you back for another episode of Stu's Reviews soon. Good boy.